My name is Warthali, and the movie I chose was The Departed. And The Departed is about a man named Billy Costigan, who is an undercover police informant placed in the Irish mob in Boston, Massachusetts, led by mob boss Frank Costello. At the same time, Frank Costello puts Colin Sullivan into the police as his informant. So basically, throughout the movie, two undercovers try to discover each other. The movie was directed by Martin Scorsese and came to the theaters in 2006. He's directed other movies such as Goodfellas and Gangs in New York that go inside the gangs portrayed in the movies, and his film visually involves finding the identity of an American. I think The Departed is a little different from other works of Scorsese as well as crime films in general, because this film is an remake of the 2002 Hong Kong film Infernal Affairs. Since the movie was made in 2006, it portrays the Irish mobs in Boston, Massachusetts. Since the characters are based on real people, except with different names, so it sort of represents the Irish American culture settled in Boston around Irish mobs, I guess. The scene I chose starts at an hour 57 minutes to 2 hours and 2 minutes. The scene starts out with Colin Sullivan reading a notebook that says Frank Costello is an FBI informant. This shot creates meaning because it shows the look on his face as he is reading, and this is what motivates him to speak with Billy Costigan on the cell phone later in the scene. After he reads the notebook, the camera cuts to the next scene with Billy Costigan sitting with the mob and watching TV that says an undercover police officer was found dead. Then the camera cuts to Billy Costigan, who has a worried expression on his face because he knows that is where he might end up if he is found out. The camera cuts to establishing shot of the bar. It shows the mob sitting there. It takes a close-up of one of the members of the mob who has an Irish accent as he explains why he can't believe how the cops found the body so fast. His accent represents what the mob is all about, as well as who they are and where they come from. Then the camera shows Frank Costello, who is wearing a shirt that says Irish, which creates meaning by showing how some Irish Americans take pride in their heritage, especially the ones in the mob. He yells at the same man to show his dominance over the others and to show the visual balance in the scene, since the shot depicts Frank Costello as bigger than who he's talking to show his power. They leave and the camera cuts to a car driving as an establishing shot to show that the mob has transitioned from the bar to the car. The camera shows a license plate that says Massachusetts, also to let the audience know that they are in Massachusetts, which is also an establishing shot. Inside the car are Frank Costello, Billy Costigan, and another character who is sort of like a personal assistant to Frank Costello. This shot is important because it shows that Billy Costigan has moved up in the mob and has the trust of the mob boss, Frank Costello, which plays an important role in the ending of the movie. As they are driving, there is a non-diegetic music playing. The song is by an Irish American band from Boston, which is like American rock music with an Irish beat or style to it. This is to show the culture as well as the wildness of the mob from Boston. As they drive, Colin Sullivan calls Frank Costello and informs him that he has a tail, which is someone following them. The second time Costello tells Sullivan to get rid of them, he screams it out, and then Sullivan says okay. And this is also to show Costello's dominance as he controls Sullivan and tells him what to do. Then there is a shot of Sullivan hanging up the phone and putting it next to his police badge, which is contradicting because one is used for good and the other is used for evil. The lighting and shading is used as light is shown on the side of the badge and shade shown on the side with his phone. It shows that there are two sides to Sullivan, one good, one bad. Also, since Sullivan is mostly in the shade when he's always at the police station, it shows that this shows the sneakiness of him as an undercover or the mob in general. In this shot, he is in the shade in his office, while the background of all the other cops are lit well and bright for the audience to see. Also to show the sneakiness of Sullivan as well. Then the camera cuts to Frank Costello, who says, "Rats are wearing thin," and the driver says it's a nation of rats. The term rat is used to call an undercover who informs for the enemy. As they say this, Billy Koskin has an expression on his face that shows he knows what he's talking about and is concerned for his life, because if he's caught, he could be killed. The camera cuts back to Sullivan, who walks into an office where the cops are to tell them to get rid of the tail. As the camera shows the cops looking towards Sullivan, in the background there is a shadow next to one of the officers to show that that cop is also an informant for Costello, but the audience finds that out in the end. Sullivan convinces them to get rid of the tail because he knows where they are going, since he is in contact with Billy Koskin, but Sullivan still doesn't know who he is. Then the camera cuts to Billy Koskin, who is sending the destination in a text message, then cuts to Sullivan in the car receiving the message. Cell phones are important in the movie because it is used to inform and keep in contact with other people, which is essential to an undercover. Then the camera cuts to the mob opening a crate that is filled with drugs, and one of the members holds up one to Costello to test the drug, which also shows his dominance as he has control over the others. The drugs are also used as a prop to show that what kind of mob they are and that they actually break the laws. As they drive, Billy says he's going to check the back, and the cops pull up, which concludes the scene I've chosen. The acting in this scene is very good since the actors talk in Boston accents to establish where they are and what culture they come from, mostly Irish Americans. Their dialogue is good since they would say things a normal person from Boston would say, to show that people from that area are tough and always have an unfriendly attitude towards certain things, which does represent their culture, I think. The genre of the movie is crime / mystery / thriller / drama. What determines this is the actions of a mob who steal and kill people, which shows it's a crime and the cops trying to solve Costello's undercover, as well as Costello trying to solve the cops undercover to show the mystery. This is also a drama because it shows the effects of Billy Koskin, who's fearful of his life, as well as many people dying. I selected this scene because it shows what the movie is about and includes everything used in the movie, like the use of shading, dialogue, props, acting, and also the story. This scene represents the movie as a whole. The Departed creates an effect on the audience that compels them to feel as each character in the movie feels as they learn who the characters are and how they act.